This page is the front cover of the magazine. It's issue 7 from May 2000. Rally 2 is the main feature, boasting a world-exclusive review and being called Muddy Brilliant. Dead or Alive 2 is also hyped with the question, are you hard enough? Choo Choo Rocket is highlighted as Dreamcast's first online game. There's a sticker shouting about a free, complete game included. Other games mentioned are MDK2, The Nomad Soul, Virtua Tennis, and Buffy. Down at the bottom it mentions player guides for Crazy Taxi, NBA 2K, Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation, and Resident Evil 2. The magazine cost £4.99, or £5.99 overseas. The next page showcases this month's cover disc, and it's packed with goodies. We've got an exclusive full game called Sega Swirl, looks like a colourful puzzle game, alongside 2 demos. Rayman 2 is there, described as a playable demo from Ubisoft's platformer, set in Sanctuary of Water and Ice level. Then there's Soul Reaver's demo, labelled Legacy of Kain, and it's all about giving Raziel his full title. Moving on, there are mini previews. Rally 2 Expert Edition is highlighted, they're calling it Muddy Brilliant again, and it seems to have a new custom race feature. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure gets a mention, suggesting it's a quirky 2D Japanese game, and they hint at checking out the review on page 82. There are more games in smaller boxes. Weetrix Plus gets a nod as a puzzle game, being given away free with the disc, and they mention a review on page 80. Gigawing, a vertical shooter, is described as having retro vertical shoot-'em-up action with loads of explosions. Finally, Hidden and Dangerous is mentioned as a commando game, with split-screen 4-player mode. At the bottom there's a note about faulty cover discs and how to get a replacement, and a little editor's note from Warren Christmas thanking readers. This page presents a rather quirky advertisement. It features these charming, if slightly odd, claymation-style frog characters. We see Daddy Frog handing young Freddy a copy of Resident Evil 2 on Dreamcast, alongside the playful text, "Go and have some fun," said Daddy Frog, handing young Freddy a copy of Resident Evil 2 on Dreamcast. It's a light-hearted, almost childlike approach to promoting the game, contrasting the family imagery with the mature survival horror theme of Resident Evil 2, likely aiming to highlight its availability on the Dreamcast in a memorable way. Dreamcast Magazine issue 7, May 2000, previews upcoming games like Dead or Alive 2, Roadsters, Choo Choo Rocket, D2, Gauntlet Legends, Techromancer, and 4-Wheel Thunder. The review section covers Rally 2, MDK2, and The Nomad Soul. Features include vox pops, talent, and drinking and thinking, plus insights into the industry. Hints and tips offer guidance on NBA 2K, Tomb Raider, TLR, Resident Evil 2, and Crazy Taxi. The Dreamcast Owner's Guide contains a directory, reader reviews, and web links. Regular features include upfront, back issues, charts, and Ask Sega. Screenshots for titles like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Gigawing, and Deep Fighter are included. The next page kicks off with a Who Does This Stuff section, introducing some of the Dreamcast Magazine team. We've got Ed Lomas, who's the reviews editor, Steve Owen, who drives around and reviews games, Steve Fulljames, who writes features and does web stuff, and Adam Hayes, the art editor, who they say is always in his corner. There's also a section for getting help and advice, with Sega-related phone numbers for customer service and hints and tips. Over on the right-hand side, it's a full-page advert for 4-Wheel Thunder shouting, Dreamcast exclusive available May 2000. It's touting itself as the premier all-terrain racing game for Dreamcast. The advert showcases a blue monster truck and a dune buggy tearing through a desert-like environment. It mentions you can choose from 4 classes of hardcore off-road vehicles, customize your machines with prize money upgrades, and boast 16 tracks with shortcuts and weather effects, plus 2-player action. They've got screenshots showing both outdoor mayhem and indoor chaos, suggesting different environments within the game. This page is a rather striking advert. It's a view from inside a car, looking out at a windscreen absolutely plastered in mud. The tagline is pretty clear. Think driving games are stuck in the mud. It's definitely suggesting that whatever game they are advertising is going to be a step above the usual driving games, maybe more exciting or off-road focused. Given the mud imagery and the previous page's 4-Wheel Thunder advert, it's likely related to that game again, suggesting it's anything but stuck in the mud. This page is another advert, following on from the previous one with the muddy windscreen. This time it's even more explicit, stating, well, clear the way for the smoothest, fastest rally game ever. It's clearly building on the idea of a driving game that's not stuck in the mud, promising a fast and smooth rally experience. visually continuing the theme of mud splattered across the windscreen as seen from inside a car. This page is dedicated to Rally 2, Expert Edition on the Dreamcast. It's positioned as a driving game with depth and entertainment. Steve Owen is mentioned as the reviewer who buckles up for the ride. The review highlights the game's Dreamcast pedigree, mentioning it's one of the countries not to get a look in Rally 2, and praises it for being deep, beautiful and intensely immersive, encouraging players to get their juices going. The page showcases a few screenshots, emphasizing different aspects of the game. One shows multiple cars racing, highlighting the ability to race against 3 other cars. Another focuses on the co-driver, noting they are always smiling. A scenic shot emphasizes the lovely scenery players will encounter. And finally, a race against a ghost car feature is shown. The review mentions that rallying in the game is something special, with realistic driving physics, and that it avoids being overly spectator sport focused like other rally games. It notes the impressive feeling of skidding in mud and spraying pebbles. The review concludes by stating the game makes a great game, with courses that are long and look the same but suggests this might be the only twist and is still a surprise, expressing hope for the overall experience. The game is priced at £39.99, published by Infogrames, and developed by Eden. It's also labelled as On the Go. Rally 2 Expert Edition for the Dreamcast is praised for its realistic rally experience. The review highlights detailed graphics, including working wipers and visible halogen bulbs, and the replay feature. The gameplay emphasizes realistic car handling, including power sliding, and the importance of the co-driver. The game features officially licensed cars like Subaru Impreza and Ford, with a focus on accurate handling characteristics. The reviewer calls it thrilling and immersive. An unlicensed to thrill section emphasizes the game's official licenses and detailed car models with thousands of polygons. A final section discusses the cost of real-world rallying, contrasting it with the affordable nature of the game, suggesting Rally 2 is a more accessible way to enjoy the sport. The next page continues the Rally 2 Expert Edition review, diving deeper into the gameplay. It mentions the garage adjustments are a bit basic but good enough, and the driving experience is described as very engaging, encouraging you to push the car to its limits. The review highlights the impressive damage modeling, where cars realistically deform and compress as you crash, and the immersive sound effects, especially the engine roars. The co-driver is praised for being helpful, guiding you through the stages. Graphically, the reviewer is impressed by the environments, noting the detailed villages of Corsica, and the ability to read advertising hoardings, plus the car reflects its surroundings beautifully. Below this review, there's a section titled The Car's the Star, showcasing a lineup of cars featured in Rally 2. These include the Renault Megane Coupe 2.0, described as glamorous and fun to drive, the Ibiza GTI 16 Versus, a popular super mini with responsive steering, the Peugeot 206 GT, considered a firm favorite with great handling, the Vauxhall Astra Shri, an otherwise dull mid-sized hatchback that performs surprisingly well, the Ford Focus Tone 90, praised for its chassis and engine, the Subaru Impreza P1, known for its turbo kick and four-wheel drive, and lastly the Mitsubishi Evolution IV, lauded as the ultimate rally-bred road car with incredible acceleration. Each car has a brief description highlighting its in-game performance and real-world reputation, emphasizing their appeal within the rally game. This page continues the Rally 2 Expert Edition review, looking at the weather effects and the track designer features. The "and here is the weather" section shows off the different weather conditions you'll encounter, from sunny Corsica days to treacherous snow and muddy conditions in the UK and Indonesia. It highlights how the weather affects visibility and driving conditions, like icy roads and difficult-to-spot bends. Moving on to making tracks, it's all about the simple track editor in Rally 2. It walks you through creating your own circuits step by step, starting with just placing straights and corners, then adjusting the scale and zoom, and finally tweaking the bends and adding scenery. It mentions how easy it is to create your own twisting nightmares, or even recreate real circuits like Silverstone. The example tracks shown go from a simple circuit to a figure of 8, and even a more complex dream track design. The reviewer jokes about challenging you to make a more childish course, suggesting the editor is pretty versatile and easy to use. Rally 2 Expert Edition is reviewed, highlighting its impressive graphics and attention to detail, particularly on the Dreamcast, according to producer Olivier Raffard. The game aims for accessibility and fun over hardcore simulation. The review praises the arcade mode and its multiplayer options, including Time Trial and Rally Cup. Collision detection is decent, but the game is somewhat forgiving with car damage. The verdict is positive, citing "screamingly quick, a great drive, with stunning visuals, numerous cars and tracks, and a course designer. However, it notes shortcomings in competition structure and minor graphical issues. The reviewer won the Eurosport Championship within an hour. Overall, Rally 2 is deemed a fast-paced and enjoyable rally game, though it falls short of perfection, receiving an ODM rating of 7/10. The next page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast, proclaiming games, net and match. It highlights the console's features including 128-bit, email and free internet access. There are images showing the Dreamcast console, controller and keyboard, emphasizing its online capabilities and gaming potential. It's a strong push for the Dreamcast as an all-in-one entertainment system. This page showcases a couple of upcoming titles and another in development for the Dreamcast. First up, we've got Virtua Tennis 2, the follow-up to the arcade smash hit. They're boasting about exclusive details and screenshots, and it's set to feature 8 of the world's top male tennis players, including Tim Henman and Carlos Moya, plus the usual suspects really. Looks like they're adding a new trial challenge mode, alongside the standard arcade and exhibition modes, supporting up to 4 players. They're aiming for a September release, so not too long to wait for that one. Then there's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which Fox Interactive are bringing to the Dreamcast. Apparently it's going to be a mix of action, exploration, and puzzle solving, with all the main characters and locations from the show, like Sunnydale High School and the cemetery. They're promising it'll be a faithful adaptation of the Buffyverse, and it's slated for release this autumn in the US, and shortly after in the UK. Finally, at the bottom, a quick mention of Donald Duck Going Quackers, which is being touted as a DreamWorks CG film-style game. It's based on the Road to El Dorado film and is a 3D adventure game. Revolution Software, who are known for Broken Sword, are developing it, which is interesting. There's a screenshot of Donald on a horse, hinting at some serious horseplay. Sounds a bit different, that one. This article previews several upcoming Dreamcast games. VIP is a tongue-in-cheek action game starring Pamela Anderson as a bodyguard, utilizing outlandish weapons. Eidos Go for Gold is the official Sydney 2000 Olympics game, offering track and field events with multiplayer for up to 3 players. Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2 promises a more realistic boxing experience while maintaining its over-the-top style. Lionhead's Black and White focuses on online features for the Dreamcast version, with a Christmas release planned. Games News briefly mentions other titles, including the colorful 3D platformer Pole to Pole, the delayed Dreamcast port of Prince of Persia 3D, a Metropolis Street Racer soundtrack sample, a youth basketball game, and potential Japanese game releases in the UK. This page features previews and news. Arcatera, The Dark Brotherhood, a German RPG for Dreamcast, is highlighted for its impressive screenshots, party-based gameplay, and expansive world. Lara Croft is starring in computer-generated TV and magazine ads for Tomb Raider. Urban Chaos, a PC title also coming to Dreamcast, promises gritty urban environments and 30 missions. Namco is developing new Dreamcast titles, including Mr. Driller, showing continued support for the platform. Zombie Revenge has been delayed. Infogrames is releasing multiple driving games. Phantasy Star Online will have a worldwide release later this year, with same language support. Tokyo Highway Challenge is still being tweaked for the UK. This page showcases news and previews starting with Shenmue in English, reporting that SEGA have shown Shenmue with English language and voice acting for the first time. Yu Suzuki states the script is translated, American voice actors are recording dialogue, and the game will feature both English speech and subtitles. They are still deciding between adventure-type options for the original Japanese voices or full English voices. The article mentions the game's graphical engine being improved, and the story will take place in Hong Kong with city, castle, and bay areas. Next is What a Rush, previewing San Francisco Rush 2049, a futuristic driving game from Midway set in San Francisco in the year 2049. It's got racer with unique twists, stunts, and jumps, and will include new courses and challenges. Online play over the Sega network is hinted at, similar to Sega Rally 2. Then there is Have Your Say, encouraging readers to vote for their favorite Dreamcast games, promising a free visual memory unit for one lucky voter. There's a Your Most Wanted chart listing the top Dreamcast games, with Shenmue at number 1, followed by Metropolis Street Racer, Resident Evil Code, Veronica, Half-Life, Echo the Dolphin, Sega GT, Dead or Alive 2, GTA 2, Black and White and Alone in the Dark IV completing the top 10. This page is a preview of Samba de Amigo, Sega's monkey-tastic Maraca Madness, coming to the Dreamcast. They mention they covered the announcement in the November issue, and have now played a Dreamcast conversion. It seems like it's shaping up well, looking good with those vibrant graphics. They highlight new songs exclusive to the Dreamcast and a challenge mode. It seems there's also a party mode with minigames for multiplayer fun. They mention the Dreamcast version should be out in May. On the right side, there's an advert from HMV for Dreamcast games, titled Seriously Addictive. They are showcasing MDK2, a bonkers action game, with Kurt and his robotic dog Max. Then there's Toy Story 2, where you help Buzz Lightyear rescue Woody in a 3D platform adventure, with all the toy characters involved. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver is there too, a dark and atmospheric vampire adventure, as Raziel seeks revenge. Finally, Tomb Raider, the last revelation with Lara Croft facing ancient evils in Egypt. It's encouraging you to buy these seriously addictive games, online from HMV and Top Dog for Games. SEGA's arcade game Airline Pilots is a realistic flight simulator requiring significant skill, unlike typical arcade games. It uses a dedicated cabinet with realistic controls, like the F355 Ferrari Challenge, and tasks players with navigating a flight course. It's a welcome change of pace, though a Dreamcast release is unlikely. Back issues of the magazine are detailed, starting with the Dreamcast Beginner's Guide, spotlighting upcoming games, and covering releases like Shenmue, Soul Calibur, and Metropolis Street Racer. Each issue, priced at £5.99, offered reviews, previews, and demo discs. The next issue promises a special feature on Dead or Alive 2 and Echo the Dolphin, alongside a best demo disc ever. For the June issue, packed with game demos, set to release on Thursday, May 4th. The article highlights the Dreamcast's popularity in London flats, with Yuppie Heaven, detailing how flatmates are ditching TV and PlayStation for Dreamcast gaming nights. Interviews reveal favorites like House of the Dead 2, FIFA Soccer 2000, Crazy Taxi, Sega Rally, and Soul Calibur. Another article previews Sega Bass Fishing, hyping its release with its innovative fishing rod controller. The game, delayed due to controller production, is praised for its arcade feel and graphics, despite noted fish AI issues. Finally, Ancore kicks off on Dreamcast, announces Ancore Software's Player Manager 2000 for Dreamcast, promising a top-tier football management simulation with state-of-the-art visuals and tactical depth, developed with input from Premiership managers. The next page showcases the HMV Top 10 Dreamcast Games chart and the Chart Track Top 20, both placing Crazy Taxi firmly at number 1. You can see the Crazy Taxi game case prominently displayed there too. There's also a section called the Playlist, which gives a quick rundown of a few titles. Crazy Taxi is mentioned again, they say it's still a blast. Virtua Striker 2 is highlighted, mentioning it's still a decent football game even now and better for pick-up-and-play action. NBA 2K gets a nod as the basketball title to have, especially with the console intelligence. Rayman 2 is praised for its platforming and graphics, sounding like a solid adventure. Tee-Off is described as a decent golf game, accessible for newcomers, and Soul Calibur gets a mention as a top fighter for the Dreamcast, full of content and enjoyable for 2 players. There's a competition running to win this month's top 10 games, asking the big question, what's the name of the female driver in Crazy Taxi? You have to choose between Gina, Jane, and Sino Ginelli. Of course it's Gina. Finally, at the bottom there's a tempting offer for £5 off any Dreamcast game, valid at HMV stores. On the side, there's a release dates panel listing upcoming games for April and May, including titles like MDK2, Resident Evil 2, and Star Wars Episode 1, Racer. This page showcases a selection of quirky gadgets under the heading, Toys for Boys and Girls, suggesting they're more for novelty and fun than serious tech. There's the Staple Wizard, which is a battery-operated stapler in a transparent case. Seems like a bit of a gimmick for office workers. Then there's the Casio Wrist Audio Player, a watch that also plays MP3s. They mention it's a bit chunky but does the job for music on the go. Oakley Juliet sunglasses are highlighted as being a bit over the top but stylish, apparently seen in the Mission Impossible 2 film. There's a tiny mini-phone, a hands-free phone, quite small and meant for convenience, though probably not the most robust thing. Finally, there are Oniocha D2 series speakers, described as being made from aluminium and designed for style as much as sound quality, intended for use with hi-fi and home cinema. Get your tackle out, reviews Sega Bass Fishing on the Dreamcast through the eyes of real anglers. The article, a Vox Pops feature, presents opinions gathered by Dan Trent at the Grand Union Canal. Players, ranging from 11-year-old Ben to 50-plus Marion, shared their experiences. While some, like Ben, found it merely okay, Others, such as Michael and Ashley, were highly impressed, calling it excellent and addictive. Tony, a 25-year-old builder, was surprised by how good it was. Jason, a 25-year-old Renault employee, was gobsmacked. Even those, like Ben, who caught smaller fish, found it surprisingly good fun. Marion, although she caught nothing, enjoyed the peaceful and contemplative aspect. Overall, the game received positive reviews and was found to be surprisingly addictive, with the article noting its recent retail release. The next page presents an article titled loadsofmoney.com, and it's about Dylan Wilk, this bloke who used to sell fish food but then became a millionaire in the early days of online gaming. It's a proper rags to riches story, really. Apparently, he started a company and made a fortune. The article mentions how he got into selling Mega Drive versions of Mortal Kombat 2, initially intending to sell them cheaper than others, which was a clever move. He then moved into the e-commerce side of things with his website, loadsofmoney.com, which was quite a bold name, wasn't it? The article highlights a quote. They said the business would either fly or fall flat on its face in the first month, which is quite dramatic. It also mentions he loved playing games like Crazy Taxi and was developing an online football management game, and his company was called Gameplay.com, which became pretty big, about a £500 million business, they say. He sounds like a bit of a lad, enjoying playing games and making a mint at the same time. A full-page advertisement for Slave Zero dominates one page, boasting something big is about to hit the streets, and highlighting its features: 16 missions, car crushing, environmental interaction, 3D graphics, sound, and multiplayer. Reviews from Dreamcast Monthly and PC Gamer praise its epic scope and action. The following page features an interview with Takafumi Kaya, the designer of Choo Choo Rocket. He, from Sonic Team, created the game as a computer science project, favoring 2D gameplay for accessibility, though built using 3D modeling. Kaya aims to create games everyone can quickly understand and enjoys Choo Choo Rocket. Morrington Norca's success. He's currently developing other Dreamcast Network titles and hopes to continue making games for children. Dead or Alive 2 for Dreamcast, developed by Tecmo and published by Acclaim, is a highly anticipated fighting game, slated for an April release. Praised as a Hooboy title, it promises fast-paced, deep combat, tag-team battles, and impressive visuals. The game is compared to genre classics like Virtua Fighter 3 TB and Soul Calibur, suggesting it's a must-have for fighting game fans. Interactive stages with damaging walls and location-shifting ring-outs add unique features. Screenshots showcase characters like Hayabusa and Zack, while real-time cutscenes enhance the story. The game features smooth character movement, described as lifelike yet slightly unsettling. The review suggests this sequel is a significant upgrade from its predecessor. This page showcases previews for two games, continuing from the Dead or Alive 2 preview from the previous page, and also introducing a new racing title called Roadsters. Dead or Alive 2 is highlighted for its fantastic new tag mode feature. They've packed in a bunch of playable characters, loads of fighting styles, and detail how even the female fighters are looking rather good. They mention new characters like Leon, described as a power hitter, and Helena, an opera singer who is handy in a fight. The game sounds like it's shaping up nicely, with Tecmo adding extra polish and new moves. It's compared to Virtua Fighter 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom in terms of possibilities and tactical depth. They are clearly impressed with how it's coming together, noting the technical brilliance. Moving on to Roadsters, it's billed as a virtual open-top sports car racer at high speeds. It's a game where you're racing through environments affected by earthquakes and volcanic activity, apparently. The lowdown box reveals it's due out in April, published by Titus, and developed by Player One. The game is likened to Metropolis Street Racer and Rally 2 in terms of driving style, focusing on getting speed and drifting. They mention the tracks take place across various climates, with changeable weather conditions, including environmental hazards. They hint at slippery conditions and the risk of being buried by avalanches. It sounds like a pretty intense racer. Choo Choo Rocket, Zandine, Sonic Team's puzzle game, is set to be the first European online game on the Dreamcast, releasing in May. The game involves guiding mice, the choo-choos, into rockets while avoiding cats. Players use arrows to direct the mice, similar to lemmings, and can create their own puzzles. The game features a puzzle mode, a stage challenge mode, and a chaotic 4-player battle mode, where players compete to get the most mice into their rockets. Online play will support 2-on-2 matches, and allows for various player configurations. The frantic gameplay emphasizes quick thinking and pointer-based controls. With its online multiplayer focus and promise of a fun experience, Choo Choo Rocket is looking to be a must-have for Dreamcast owners. A Shockwave demo is available, with the full game releasing on May 4th. This page is an advert for two online magazines, PC Zone and Computer Shopper. PC Zone is billed as the serious PC game zone and highlights reviews and ratings for top games, downloads for demos and patches, and hints and tips. Features include reviews, chat, multiplayer, archives, hints and tips, downloads and news. Computer Shopper promotes itself as the UK's best-selling IT magazine online, boasting daily technology news, hardware and software reviews, and top prizes. Features include news, reviews, classifieds, competition, feedback and chat, particularly technical questions answered. Both sites are pushing their online presence and various tech and gaming-related content. D2, a Dreamcast title by Warp, is set at Christmas 2000. The game begins with terrorists hijacking a plane that crashes, with survivor Laura discovering the terrorists have mutated. D2 blends adventure and first-person shooting in a snowy, atmospheric environment. Players explore, interact, and battle grotesque, tentacled alien enemies for experience to improve Laura's abilities. Players can also hunt wildlife for food. The game features impressive real-time 3D graphics and sound, including Toy Story-esque character animation. Laura can befriend survivors who offer assistance, like an old woman who gives her soup. The gameplay focuses on exploration, combat, and survival. The preview promises a moving adventure with a focus on story and characters. D2 draws inspiration from films like The Thing, with its virus-induced transformations. While a UK launch was uncertain, the game was expected to be a major Dreamcast title, with a lot of localization work to be done. The next page previews two titles, Gauntlet Legends and Techromancer. Gauntlet Legends, coming in June from Midway and Atari, is billed as an updated take on the arcade classic, boasting cooperative multiplayer action, hordes of enemies, and massive levels. You pick your classic character, barbarian, elf and all, and delve into dungeons, battling monsters and grabbing loot. They're bringing back those classic enemies, like the lobbers, and adding modern touches such as intricate environments, puzzles, fresh moves and experience points, plus VMU saving. Apparently, Monster Madness ramps up the complexity and puzzle solving. Then there's Techromancer, from Virgin and Capcom, slated for April. It's a giant robot fighting game, clearly influenced by Japanese anime. It's promising fast-paced combat, a mix of outlandish and more traditional robot designs, and the ability to upgrade your robot's basic attacks and weaponry. This page showcases two promising titles for the Dreamcast. First up is Four Wheel Thunder from Midway. They're pitching it as an all-action arcade-style off-road racer. The sort of thing to get your motor running. They reckon it could be a real hit, even calling it a potential hottest racing title on the system. It boasts all the usual off-road elements, but with a focus on monster trucks, upgradable vehicles, and a mix of indoor and outdoor tracks. The graphics are highlighted as sharp, and the gameplay looks to be strategic with power-ups and boost management playing a key role. Then we have Giga Wing, a vertically scrolling shooter from Capcom. This one's for the shoot-'em-up aficionados. It's all about intense, screen-filling action, force bombs, and racking up power-ups and bonus scores. They say it's got that classic Capcom feel to it, and looks to be a solid example of the genre for Dreamcast owners. The next page features previews of two games. First, we have Deep Fighter from Criterion Studios, and published by Ubisoft, due out in June. It's being pitched as an underwater submarine combat game, and it sounds like they are really pushing the strategic elements, suggesting you'll need to properly think tactically to succeed. They're saying it's more than just mindless blasting, and emphasizes using your brains, with missions requiring careful planning. They're also promising a variety of different mission types, and loads of upgradable vehicles. The screenshots show some underwater action with a submarine navigating through some kind of underwater environment, and interface elements on screen. They mention influences like The Abyss and Star Fox, which gives you a sense of the style they are going for. It sounds like they are trying to create a strategic and atmospheric underwater shooter. On the right side of the page is a preview of SEGA Worldwide Soccer Euro Edition from Silicon Dreams and published by SEGA, also due out around May or June. They are promising this will be a significant improvement over the previous SEGA Worldwide Soccer 2000 game, addressing criticisms about speed and atmosphere. They're highlighting smoother animations, better-looking player models thanks to increased motion capture, and improved player AI. The The screenshots definitely show off the in-game graphics with players on a football pitch, and they are emphasizing the enhanced visual fidelity and smoother gameplay, aiming to deliver a more polished football experience. This page features a few adverts. On the left, there's a Dreamcast Magazine subscription offer, pushing 3 trial issues and 33% savings. They're throwing in a free SEGA cover CD every month, and speedy home delivery, trying to entice new subscribers. It's a standard magazine subscription drive, Dorchestra. Over on the right, there's an ad for a website called GamesDemon.com. It's got a picture of a woman dressed as a devil, horns and a trident, standing in front of flames. The text says, "Are you a games demon?" and mentions the most thrilling games available for PC, Dreamcast, Nintendo and PlayStation, and wicked discounts. It's just a typical games retail website advert really, playing on the demon theme for games. Below that, there's a more generic advert for publications with ABC profiles, saying that using them will improve your advertising aim and hit the target, implying these publications are well read and audited. It's a bit dry and corporate, not really game related directly. This page features content from Maxim Magazine. The top left corner promotes their website, maximmagazine.co.uk, targeting men with features like fantasy photos, virtual photoshoots, and interactive content. They highlight site sections like news and sport, albums, and movies, alongside a pop culture quiz. The right side showcases game reviews, with Ed Lomas, the reviews editor, discussing Dreamcast titles and upcoming releases. A reviewed this issue table provides game scores, including ECW Hardcore Revolution, 84, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, 82, MDK2, 70, The Nomad Soul, 76, Rally 2 Expert Edition, 10, and Weetrix Plus 80. An ODM ratings box explains their scoring system, ranging from perfect to not worth the plastic. The next page shines the spotlight on MDK2. We've got a rather striking image of Kurt Hektic, the main chap from the game in his distinctive coil suit, and that bizarre helmet. Steve Hill is telling us it's alright if we missed the first MDK, as this sequel on the Dreamcast is a great jump-in point, especially for Dreamcast owners. He's giving us a bit of history, saying the original MDK was this PC game, a bit quirky, known for its acronym, Murder Death Kill, and its humor. Apparently, this sequel was quite unexpected but welcomed, with BioWare taking over development. The must-do knowledge bit is filling us in on the story. It's set right after the first game where Kurt saved Earth, and now he's facing more alien nasties alongside his robotic dog Max and Professor Hawkins. Sounds like more of the same fast-paced, offbeat action-adventure, which was rather enjoyable back in the day. They mention Shiny Entertainment did the original, and BioWare picked up the baton for the sequel. It was originally a PC game, but here it is making its way to the Dreamcast. We Can Be Heroes explores MDK2's playable characters, Kurt Hektic, Doc Hawkins, and Max. Kurt, the reluctant hero, offers classic MDK gameplay with his coil suit and sniper rifle. Doc, the eccentric scientist, utilizes unusual gadgets for combat. Max, the robotic dog, provides action-oriented gameplay with his 4 guns. Gameplay involves switching between characters strategically, introducing tactical variety. Screenshots show a space shooter minigame and humorous moments. The review emphasizes the variety and quirky humor. A Speak Out section features Greg Zeshok, discussing the game's variety and his enjoyment of Dreamcast games. He considers MDK a fighting game acronym for multiple deadly kicks, jokingly. What? This page continues the review of MDK2. The reviewer highlights the game's variety, noting that you're constantly doing different things, from shooting in open spaces to navigating tunnels, even riding a disc that floods a level with sewage. They mention the auto-aim, which is helpful but sometimes too powerful. The review also touches on the challenging physics, stating precise jumps are needed, and failing can be frustrating, especially with instant death scenarios. Despite these difficulties, the reviewer enjoyed the challenge and found it rewarding to overcome. The review verdict for MDK2 is shown as some exciting moments tempered by frustration. The uppers are listed as tremendous graphics and 3 different characters. The downers are variety of gameplay, but this seems contradictory and likely intended to be inconsistent difficulty, or perhaps just a slightly negative spin on variety, making it less focused. It mentions no manual saves and constant repetition. The in 1 hour section says you'd be well steamed through half of the first level. The game is given a score of 6 out of 10. On the right side of the page, There's a large advert for Weetrix Plus, proclaiming it the only puzzle game available for Dreamcast. It features colorful water droplet characters and the tagline, "Oh Bucket! Key." The advert includes the Dreamcast logo and publisher information for Take-Two and Z2. The Nomad's Soul, a Dreamcast game, is a science fiction adventure set in a city controlled by domes during an ice age. The review, by Steve Owen, notes the game's premise involves entering another dimension, with the player inhabiting the body of Kale. Gameplay includes body swapping, inventory management, and taxi rides. The review criticizes the game's direction, especially its shift towards a debauched lifestyle involving strip clubs and combat, calling it a convenient PC port that should have stayed on PC. The game's adventure elements are described as classic, with seemingly unconnected events like a supermarket shootout. Combat switches between first and third-person perspectives, with clunky control schemes. The review highlights a mixed bag of ideas, including the David Bowie collaboration, with a flawed execution in this port. The review of The Nomad's Soul acknowledges its ambitious ideas, but criticizes its execution as amateurish. The game features a large, explorable city, offering freedom of movement and resource gathering. However, the combat is poor, and the puzzles can be confusing. The story and character motivations suffer from inconsistencies. The review also points out issues with animation and camera movement, leading to motion sickness. Despite some visual improvements with a VGA box, the game receives a 5/10 score. The review highlights interesting ideas colored with an amateurish brush, and details a walkthrough for a specific mission involving map retrieval and navigating a fan-filled area. Screenshots showcase city environments, combat, and puzzle-solving scenarios, with captions highlighting various aspects of the game. The next page features a review of Weetrix Plus for the Dreamcast, scoring it a 6 out of 10. They call it a cute, quirky puzzler that gets boring quickly, which is a bit harsh, but there you go. It's described as a puzzle game, focused on collecting water and rubber ducks, a rather British concept if you ask me. The review highlights its simple pick-up-and-play nature and funky style as positives, along with the excellent water effects. Mind you, they do point out that it can get a bit repetitive, and the screen can become rather busy and confusing when things get hectic. They also cheekily remark that it's essentially a 2-year-old N64 game, which is a dig at its origins, as it was originally on the Nintendo 64. The review mentions gameplay involves dropping pieces to create lakes, and you score points by collecting rubber ducks. They also describe elements like rebombs, earthquakes, fireballs, and ice coming into play to cause chaos. There's a walkthrough section titled Uppers and Downers, explaining how to use uppers to build walls to contain water and downers to trim barriers, giving you some strategic pointers. The screenshots show the game in action, with various states of play including plenty of water sloshing about and those rubber ducks bobbing around. It was published by Take-Two, and developed by Z2, costing £39.99 at the time. Overall, they seem to think it's a decent enough puzzle game for short bursts but lacks staying power. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Dreamcast is described as a mad Capcom action game, praised for its combo-driven gameplay that's not for button mashers. Based on the popular Japanese comic/cartoon, it features anime-style visuals and unique stands, special abilities enhancing characters' movesets. The review highlights the stand system as a core mechanic, emphasizing timing and strategic usage. The graphics are colorful and cartoonish, showcasing over-the-top action. While enjoyable, the game's verdict labels it as too specialist, with positives like fun gameplay and a unique stand system, but negatives including a learning curve and limited appeal. The game received a 5/10 rating, with a price of £39.99, and was published by Virgin and developed by Capcom. This page presents a review for ECW Hardcore Revolution on the Dreamcast, developed and published by Acclaim. It appears to be a wrestling game, unsurprisingly. The overall verdict is better than Attitude, but that's hardly a compliment, suggesting it's an improvement over WWF Attitude, but still not top tier. The review highlights the uppers as the wealth of options and game modes, a great wrestler creation system, and that it's faster paced than Attitude. On the downside, the downers are unresponsive controls, tedious gameplay, and a roster of unknown wrestlers. Dreamcast Magazine awarded it a rather mediocre 3 out of 10. The price is £39.99. There's a speak out section with Greg Murphy from Acclaim, who mentions the best aspects of the game are the character creation and the barbed wire match. He also lists his favorite Dreamcast games as Crazy Taxi, Life Force, and Rallying. The screenshots showcase in-game wrestling action with character models and wrestling moves. There is a small section titled, "We Have the Technology, Make Your Ideal Man," showcasing some rather bizarre and comical custom wrestlers you can create. Gameplay.com, Britain's largest mail-order computer game supplier, is having a sale on Dreamcast games and hardware. Dreamcast games are £29.99 or less, and hardware bundles are available, such as a console with Wafer Striker and a SCART cable for £249.99. They're also selling discounted Dreamcast accessories like keyboards, memory units, arcade controllers and cables. A large selection of UK Dreamcast games are priced at £29.99 each, including popular titles like Sonic Adventure, Soul Calibur, and Jet Set Radio. The page uses screenshots and aims to promote sales, also featuring the Neo Geo Pocket Color handheld console. The next page is a bit of a change of pace, headlining, "Reviews Round Up Drinking." It's an article about a pub, called the Crown and Sceptre, presented as a proper British institution, in Langham Street, London. They're reviewing it as a local for gamers, suggesting it's a good spot for Dreamcast owners to meet up. The article talks about the pub atmosphere, food and drinks, mentioning things like Stara Prama, OGM tipple of choice. Sounds like some in-joke gaming slang. Down at the bottom, tucked under the pub photos, there are small screenshots of games. One looks like a futuristic action shooter, another is some kind of futuristic racer in a tunnel, and the last one is definitely rally racing, proper dirt tracks and all that. Seems they're suggesting these are the kind of games you chat about down the pub with your mates, or maybe games you play before or after a pint. This Dreamcast Reviews Roundup features 4 titles. MDK2, an action-adventure game with quirky humor, is praised for its mental gameplay. Wetrix Plus, a puzzle game, is deemed underwhelming, with a lukewarm reception. ECW, Hardcore Revolution, a wrestling game, receives harsh criticism for its poor gameplay and visuals. Vrally 2, a rally racing game, fares better, praised for its challenging AI and multiplayer action, filling a gap until the release of Metropolis Street Racer. The next page in Dreamcast Magazine delves into the world of game programmers, in a feature titled, "Programmers, Jobs in the Industry Part 2. Adam Phillips profiles the role, asking, "Games tester? Producer? Creative director? What do they do exactly?" It highlights programming as the sexy job in video games, focusing on the creative and technical demands. It describes programmers as the ones who slave over a keyboard and type in a language that's alien, but ultimately create the games we play. The page outlines the programmer's responsibilities as creating the basic engine and working with artists and designers to turn their vision into playable games. It touches on career prospects, suggesting a path to becoming a top-class programmer and even running your own company. Salary expectations are mentioned, ranging from trainee levels to top-end earnings with royalties. Finally, it lists the qualifications needed, emphasizing enthusiasm, dedication, and either a formal degree or demonstrable skills. Essentially, it paints a picture of the programmer as the technical backbone of game development, requiring a blend of skill and passion to succeed in the industry. This article profiles 3 game programmers, Archer McLean, Martin Chudley, and Patrick Dickinson, exploring their careers and experiences. McLean, known for games like International Karate, discusses his early days. Chudley, who worked on Killing Game Show and F1 Foot 97, also previews the upcoming Metropolis Street Racer. Dickinson, who worked on Alien vs Predator and other titles, also programmed for the PC and Dreamcast. The article includes Q&A sections, addressing topics such as the programmer's motivations and job expectations. It also features a case study on Metropolis Street Racer, showcasing its development from concept to reality. The case study highlights the technical advancements in creating realistic environments, the importance of teamwork, and the use of in-house tools. A verdict section summarizes the job's prospects, noting the potential for high earnings but also long hours and demanding deadlines. Crystal Dynamics, with Rosa Sandoval and Richard Lemarchand, discuss their upcoming Dreamcast title, Soul Reaver. The game, drawn from the Legacy of Kain universe, tells its own story. Influences include monster movies, anime like Vampire Hunter D, and Miyazaki's work. They aim for action-adventure gameplay inspired by Metroid and Zelda, and cite Ultima Underworld and Fade to Black. Violence is present but not gratuitous, fitting the dark themes. The soundtrack will evoke a gothic atmosphere, drawing from artists like Dave Faithurst and bands like the Sisters of Mercy. Screenshots show Raziel, and the 3D environments. They also touch on animation, the dimensional morphing mechanic, and the planned deathmatch mode. Other games mentioned as inspirations are Tomb Raider, Super Metroid, Castlevania, Ocarina of Time, Metroid for Super Nintendo, and the Final Fantasy series. Crystal Dynamics emphasizes their graphical advancements and desire for player feedback. This page offers some sage advice for NBA 2K on the Dreamcast, billing it as a deep sports sim that might be a bit tricky for newcomers. It suggests you should pick a decent team to start with, like the Lakers or Blazers, and maybe avoid the Chicago Bulls for now. There's a section on team creation, stressing the importance of balance, and getting the right players in the right positions, suggesting you need 3 players who can score inside, 3 outside shooters and someone who can slam dunk. It then moves into a position guide, explaining the roles of center, point guard, power forward, shooting guard, and small forward, highlighting key skills for each position. The page also covers game settings, recommending rookie, pro or all-star difficulty depending on skill, and touching on controller setup. Finally, there's an offense section giving essential tips, like keeping the ball moving, using the pick and roll, and the importance of 3-pointers, dunks, and alley-oops to rack up the points. It also mentions faking shots and using alley-oops to keep your opponent guessing. Overall, it's a good starting guide to get you up to speed with the nuances of NBA 2K. This page continues the NBA 2K theme, with further hints and tips, moving on to defense, fitness, and endgame strategies. Defense tips include using the left trigger to bunker down in front of your opponent, anticipating passes, and trying to steal the ball. Fitness advises on managing player energy during the match, suggesting substitutions to avoid tiring players out too quickly. The endgame section focuses on the final minutes of a match, emphasizing playing catch-up and utilizing quick dunks. Next to this we have the cheat codes for NBA 2K, revealing classic codes like big heads, beach balls, fat players and big feet. There are also codes for thin players, big players, small players, and hidden teams. On the right, there's a Dreamcast cheats and tips advert, and further down, a mid-blue Game Zone advert, listing various Dreamcast games available for sale via mail order, with titles like South Park, Chef's Lufshak, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and Sonic Adventure. Below that, there's a Dial-A-Game advert showcasing various games you can order by phone, including Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, Zombie Revenge, NBA 2K, Echo the Dolphin, and Metropolis Street Racer. They also highlight games like Dynamite Cop 2, Trick Style, Hydro Thunder, and Resident Evil 2. It mentions delivery in 3 days, and boasts about being the nation's fastest and most comprehensive service for Dreamcast games. This guide provides a walkthrough for the first part of Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation. It offers tips for navigating several levels. In the Tomb of Seth, players solve puzzles involving chains, buttons, and a sand clock. Burial Chambers requires using items like the Hand of Orion and Golden Serpent to manipulate the environment and water flow. Valley of the Kings focuses on driving. KV5 involves scaffolding and vehicle navigation with obstacles. Temple of Karnak includes climbing, button pressing, and a floor puzzle. The Great Hypostyle Hall is an archaeological level with puzzles. The Sacred Lake involves pole sliding and combining items. Tomb of Semoket involves insect avoidance, button activation, and ladder climbing. Guardian of Semoket is a precision challenge requiring timed jumps and avoiding a flame-breathing statue. The next page continues the hints and tips section for Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation. It's packed with advice for several levels, each with a screenshot to illustrate the point. Warrington New Thorpe. Starting with Desert Railroad, it's about using the crowbar to make your way through the train carriages, and then using it again to disconnect the train. Alexandria is a short level, focused on exploring for hidden extras. Coastal Ruins involves blasting boards, finding a crossbow, and using a snake darter machine. Moving on to Catacombs, it's about pressing symbols, using a torch, and employing a crowbar to open doors and navigate the area while avoiding a ghost. Temple of Poseidon is about placing Poseidon statues correctly. Lost Library is about killing gem-embedded enemies and retrieving golden stars. Hall of Demetrius is a short tip concerning using the Pharos knot in the coffin to open a door. Pharos, Temple of Isis, mentions underwater swimming, using a Pharos pillar, and navigating green doors and beetles to get black beetles. Finally, Cleopatra's Palace involves using the combination of scarab and key, and using the Pharos knot in another coffin. City of the Dead deals with motorbike combat, shooting soldiers, and navigating to reach the building inside the gate. This guide focuses on the B scenarios for Leon and Claire in Resident Evil 2, highlighting key differences. Leon B has a different starting point and altered item placements, including using Sherry and the blue card. The vacant factory lift and final tyrant encounters also differ. Clara features modified item locations, no Sherry, a grenade launcher from Kendo, and unique enemy encounters, including the alligator. Clara's Moidisc is crucial for Magnum attachments. Claire B is considered easier if a sock is completed. The grenade launcher is in the police station. The guide also details unlockable contents. Achieving high ranks unlocks powerful infinite ammo weapons like the rocket launcher and Gatling gun. Secret costumes and the extra hunk and tofu scenarios are unlocked through specific challenges and skillful play. This guide, by Tom Guys, offers hints and tips for mastering Crazy Taxi, focusing on gameplay techniques and Crazy Box mode. Essential techniques include Crazy Dash, Drift, Stop, Jump, and Drift Jump, performed using A, B, and R buttons. Mastering the Crazy Dash is key for speed and Crazy Drift for cornering. Advanced moves like Crazy Through and Parking are also covered. Crazy Box mode, a challenging minigame, presents a series of skill tests, 1 to 16, such as jumping, drifting, and navigating obstacles. The guide also introduces the 4 playable drivers: Axel, all-rounder; BD Joe, high speed, slides; Gina, good acceleration; and Gus, slow, heavy. Driver selection affects gameplay. The guide offers advice on picking a driver based on their strengths and weaknesses. This document offers gameplay tips for several games. For Crazy Taxi, there are cheats for location randomization, removing guidance arrows, and unlocking a bike. The document differentiates between Arcade City's forgiving routes and Original City's trickier Dreamcast layout. The Help section answers reader questions. Sonic Adventure's hidden items are revealed. Soul Reaver tips cover navigating Melchiah's castle and the Guardian of the Cave of Bad Dreams. Worm's Armageddon strategies involve protecting a crate. Rayman 2 provides guidance on river crossing, and Marvel vs. Capcom stresses mastering a single character. Finally, for Trick Style, focus on speed and board control, and for Blue Stinger, run and gun the final boss, while for House of the Dead 2, save everyone and use continues. This page dives straight into the cheats, eh? We're looking at NBA Showtime, Sonic Adventure, and Soul Reaver, all with their little secrets spilled. NBA Showtime has codes for team mascots and classic players, handy if you want to mix things up. Sonic Adventure's got Chaos Emerald locations and supersonic transformations, essential for completionists. Then there's Soul Reaver with its vast array of vampire slaying tricks, health boosts, abilities, and even spectral realm shifts, proper stuff for Kane's world. Moving on, there's a section for ECW Hardcore Revolution unlockables, revealing hidden wrestlers and modes. All about the big lads and hard hits in that one. And tee-off is mentioned for new characters, in case you fancy a different golfer. On the right, we've got Challenges this month section. Crazy Taxi is about racking up the most money, SEGA Rally 2 is a 5-lap Riviera dash against the clock, and Sonic Adventure wants you blitzing through Tails level at top speed. Screenshots show these games in action. Below that, results are in. Seems like they're posting the best scores for SEGA Rally 2, Soul Calibur and Sonic Adventure from readers, leaderboards of glory for those who are top of the pile. Finally, there's a phone for help bit, offering Dreamcast Magazine's helpline, back in the day before instant internet answers, eh? Good times. The games directory showcases Dreamcast titles. Aerowings focuses on aerobatics. Blue Stinger offers monster-killing action with a decent story. Deadly Skies impresses with its graphics. Armada is a top-down shooter. Buggy Heat is a decent racer. Dynamite Cop is a fun beat-em-up. Crazy Taxi scores a 9/10 for its addictive gameplay. Evolution, 8/10, is a solid RPG. Hydro Thunder, 6/10, is a fast speedboat racer. Jimmy White 2, Cue Ball, 7/10, is a decent snooker game. Fighting Force 2 is considered disappointing. Incoming, 6/10, is a basic shooter. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, 8/10, is a classic with good graphics. The page also includes a visual memory unit, VMU, FAQ, covering its functions, games that utilize it, memory, battery life, and downloading minigames. The text concludes by noting, Dreamcast games are not massively rare, with America and Sega.com being good resources for finding them. This Dreamcast Magazine game directory reviews several titles. NBA 2K and Marvel vs. Capcom both receive 8/10. Mortal Kombat Gold gets a 5/10, and NFL Quarterback Club 2000 a 4/10. Other titles like Millennium Soldier, Expendable, Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation, 6/10, and NFL Blitz 2000 are mentioned. Rayman 2, The Great Escape, 9/10, Resident Evil 2, 8/10, Pen, 6/10, SEGA Worldwide Soccer 2000, 7/10, SEGA Bass Fishing, 7/10, Red Dog, 5/10, Revolt, 7/10, Psychic Force 2012, 7/10, Power Stone, 8/10, and Ready to Rumble, 9/10, are also reviewed. House of the Dead, 2, 9/10, and F1 World Grand Prix, 8/10, are also praised. The page also includes a FAQ section about Dreamcast Online features, covering topics like connecting to the internet, using DreamKey, managing online accounts, and accessing online content. Sega's upcoming faster modem is also noted, along with contact information for online support. This Dreamcast games directory reviews a diverse range of titles. High scorers include Soul Calibur and Virtua Tennis, both receiving 9 or 10 out of 10, lauded for their exceptional quality. Other standouts include Sonic Adventure, 9/10, Sega Rally 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Toy Commander, Wafer Striker, and Worms Armageddon, all 8/10. Mid-range scores were given to games like Suzuki Alster, Extreme Racing, Zombie Revenge, Slave Zero, Trickstyle, Speed Devils, Tomb Raider, The Last Revelation, and Tee-Off, all 7/10. Several games received lower scores, including Shadow Man, Snow Surfers, Soul Fighter, Virtua Striker 2, and Slave Zero, all 6/10, and Tokyo Highway Challenge, Vigilante 8-2 ND Offense, South Park, Chef's Love Shack, and Wild Metal, all 5/10. WWF Attitude received the lowest score, at 3/10. The directory also features a FAQ about Dreamcast peripherals, covering topics like TV compatibility, SCART leads, the upcoming DVD player, and accessories such as the zip drive, microphone, camera, VGA box, rumble pack, arcade stick, and steering wheel. This page provides reader reviews for several Dreamcast games and an FAQ. Crazy Taxi receives a high score of 9/10, lauded for its addictive gameplay. Deadly Skies scores a 4/10 due to poor controls. Dynamite Cop gets a 2/10, criticized for being a poor conversion. South Park, Chef's Love Shack earns a 3/10 for its repetitive nature. Buggy Heat receives a dismal 1/10, deemed awful. Shadow Man gets a 6/10, praised for atmosphere, but criticized for controls and level design. The FAQ section covers various Dreamcast topics. It addresses CD-ROM format, region locking, import games, and console lifespan. It also explores pricing, VMU data longevity, game development, the Naomi arcade board's relationship to the Dreamcast, Naomi game compatibility, and briefly mentions the release date of Shenmue and a potential Konami game. This page is all about music websites. Back in the day when finding decent music info online was a bit of a mission, we've got reviews of a bunch of sites, like Addicted to Noise, described as a monthly rock and rap site, Cream, which seems to be a UK underground club vibe, MTV for flashing lights and epilepsy warnings, and All Music Guide, a definitive music database. Then there's Dot Music, covering charts from around the world, Music 365 with news and reviews, and Clubbed, focusing on UK clubs. IUMA is mentioned as contact details for unsigned acts, Q Online, which sounds like it's connected to Q Magazine, Rap Music and Songfile for specific genres, Rough Guide to Rock, Taxi, SonicNet, and finally Ultimate Band List. It's a snapshot of what was out there for music fans online at the time, a good reminder of how basic but essential these early music sites were for finding new tunes and info. The big debate explores whether modern video games are too hard, soft, long, or short. Industry professionals share their perspectives. Chris Kingsley emphasizes difficulty settings and save systems. David Davies, a hardcore gamer, prioritizes secrets and quick completion. Fiona Sperry values replayability, highlighting game length. Alex Ward suggests easy games can still be good with linear experiences and secrets. Damian Hosen champions replay value over sheer length. Mark Maslowich believes in player agency and clear controls. citing arcade games as successful examples. The discussion concludes that achieving the right balance in difficulty and length is key to reaching a wider audience and providing a satisfying experience. The next page continues the big debate, with industry professionals discussing game design philosophies. Chris Kingsley reiterates the importance of difficulty settings to cater to all players and save systems to mitigate frustration. David Davies champions hardcore games with secrets and rewards for dedicated players, preferring quicker playthroughs. Fiona Sperry values replayability over sheer length, noting that brilliant, shorter games are more memorable than overly long ones. Alex Ward believes even easier games can be good if they are well designed and have secrets. Damien Hosen argues for quality and fun over just length, emphasizing player enjoyment. Mark Maslovich discusses player agency, clear controls, and the importance of game feel, citing arcade games as examples of success. Games like Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, and House of the Dead 2 are mentioned in the context of arcade conversions and replay value. Crash Bandicoot, Tomb Raider, and Final Fantasy are used as examples in a discussion about game difficulty and the Japanese market, suggesting Japanese gamers prefer easier games compared to Western audiences, although the overall consensus is that automatic difficulty adjustment is key to satisfying a wider range of players. The page also features a quote from Chris Kingsley about judging games by their playability, and another quote from Damien Hosen about the importance of the fun factor over sheer game length. The image features a group of people, presumably the industry professionals, contributing to the debate. This letters section covers Dreamcast enthusiast feedback and Sega's official responses. Readers share their experiences, with nostalgia for older consoles and excitement for upcoming Dreamcast titles like Tomb Raider and Sega Rally 2. Specific games mentioned include House of the Dead 2 and Sega Bass Fishing. Cassata. Sega addresses reader questions, confirming Mad Catz peripherals are officially licensed and there are no plans for larger than 4x memory cards currently. They announce a new, improved Internet startup disk with worldwide soccer, and confirm Dreamcast Online service will remain unified across Europe. Sega hints at a possible digital camera peripheral in early 2001. Other sections discuss topics like internet costs, a Pokémon trading rumor, the confirmation of Virtua Cop 2 on Dreamcast, and feedback on the magazine. The page features a picture of a Lara Croft lookalike. This page features an article shouting about Crazy Taxi. You know, that arcade game where you drive like a maniac picking up fares. There's a picture of a yellow cab. Proper iconic. It mentions this Jeff Teague fella, who's apparently been causing chaos driving around in a bright yellow taxi, even caught the attention of the police. Seems he's been at it for a couple of weeks in a crazy taxi. They even talk about the Evening Standard newspaper, and some sort of competition happening at the sports cafe in Haymarket. Apparently, in the game they use flat pandas and Cadillacs as the motors, just like the real thing. Then on the right side there's a massive advert for the Slammer, one of those online games retailers that were popping up. They've got a Dreamcast special offer on. You could grab a console and any game for £199.99. They've listed loads of games for Dreamcast, PlayStation, and even the old Game Boy, and all sorts of accessories. They're even throwing in free DVDs and other consoles if you spend enough, and banging on about customer loyalty and all that guff. You could order online or give them a bell.